is, then why would anybody pay extra for a tablet app, right? So I mean, I kind of assume that, I mean, it's been a few years since they announced this, so I mean, we don't really know, like maybe we can talk more about it. So I mean, I would assume that you need to provide a really amazing experience on the tablet, like have a different UI. If you already have an app on the App Store, right? You need to have a very different UI, a very different interaction. The problem is that we don't have a tablet in our hand, so we don't really know like what works. I mean, with the iPhone, we had it for a year, we knew how to use it, we knew what to do with it. With a tablet, I find it hard to imagine what it looks like, what it feels like in the hand, like what sort of gestures work, like how would I hold it. So, I don't know, maybe there's some practical advice that like, you don't have the device in your hand, but how do you go ahead like writing an app for it, you know?
Yeah, the iPad, I guess they're trying to define how the interface should look, and I'm very curious about that myself. I kind of don't want to develop an iPad app until I get one in my hand, but they have these very interesting like toolbar. The toolbar icons now launch what look like navigation stacks, so they have full table views, full nav stack. So it's sort of like no more modal view controller type thing. It's all like contextual toolbar menus.
Let's talk.
Maybe I don't know. Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Like, what is, you know, like Apple has sort of come out with a couple of ways they think we're going to use multi-touch. Certainly in the iPhone, things were done that Apple never foresaw with, you know, with multi-touch. What's that on the iPad? Cool. So I guess a couple of hesitant hands. So I'm going to, I guess, interject with the multitasking question. It had been rumored for a long time that today we were going to see iPhone OS 4.0. Didn't happen. Saw nothing, in fact, about the next iPhone OS for the iPhone at all. So any comments or thoughts on multitasking?
Just to react for multitasking, maybe some people will be angry against me, but really I do believe that multitasking is really a geek thing. I always had a hard time explaining to brothers, sisters, mothers, the Alt tab, you know, to do multitasking on Windows or even Command tab or Apple tab on the Mac. I mean, that's not something that, okay, we are used to do it, but except for listening to music, I cannot do things. I mean, most people cannot do two different types of things at the same time. Maybe women, but I don't know. So really, I do believe that. I mean, I have a jailbroken iPhone. I do multitasking, but to be honest, clearly, I mean, most people don't need that, especially if it drains your battery down.
My girlfriend, I jailbroke her app, and she loves the multitask. She does Pandora in the background, so.
Yeah,
that's the all the people who say yeah, multitasking is so great. I ask them, okay, what do you do as multitasking? They will say, yeah, Pandora. Okay, music, but you only need music. What else you can do with multitasking?
Into Skype every time you open up the application.
The multitasking, you know, you have this device on you all the time. You know, it's monitoring your footfalls and other things. You know, there's things like Vela Computer out there that people put on their leg and they go bicycle riding. Sure, he wants to have music, but he also wants to answer the phone and keep the Vela Computer going because he's still riding. There are things that people want to do and monitor their life that want to happen while other apps are running. So there's lots of things that you can do on the Android that you can't do here because they have background tasking for apps. The problem is that Android has limited memory for that.
I remember starting with that episode for the multitask. They didn't switch apps on their tablet. They had 3 tablets in front of them. So there was a physical connection between the task you're on and which tablet you picked up. So I can see once the tablets get cheap enough, the model going in that direction.
I haven't done multitasking. Reality is multitasking, reality is not single tasking. So whoever does multitasking is going to win. And if Apple does not do multitasking, other tablet manufacturers will blow them out of the water. Human beings do not do one thing at a time. How many people in this room have 10 windows open all the time when you're using a computer? Do you ever have one window open? Ever?
Do you ever have just 10 windows open?
Yeah, do you ever have only 10 windows open? We will take as many multiple tasks as people will let us, and we will not settle for one, so Apple better do it.
So I think multitasking is a red herring, and I think in if you read through the Apple user or user design kind of principles, they kind of set that up, which is they understand, yeah, there might be 10 windows open, but people aren't working in all 10 windows at the same time. So if you look at kind of the user development guidelines, you have to write that, the state, so when you open it up, it creates the illusion that's still running in the background. I agree that there are some some life monitoring cases, and I think in location kind of check-ins like Foursquare, other things that would hugely benefit from running in the background. But I think right now, those are, while successful within our communities in the Bay Area, those are, Foursquare has what, 200,000 people? That's nothing for Apple to basically try to put their entire system or the smoothness of their system at risk to develop this task. I don't think the mass market of 10 million people use that yet. And then the other funny thing is, so I've worked for various wireless clients, and this was a big factor among smartphones, is people saying, all right, we can say this multitasks better than Apple. And so we went to focus groups. I conducted focus groups all around the country. And what's really interesting is we did two things. We did phone ethnographies, looking at how people actually use the phone, what they would like to use the phone for. Is the case for multitasking different than what's on the iPhone? Doesn't come up. And if you look at satisfaction levels on the iPhone, it's true. Most people don't really kind of complain about it. But if you say, do you want multi-touch? They'll always say yes. Multitasking or whatever. Ask them to explain what that might look like on the iPhone, and they can't. They're just saying yes to another feature. So what happens is you have this variable that gets really high, and everybody overreacts about it. And everyone in this room, I have no doubt, would make good use of it. But we're the niche group here, and I think maybe that.
Has anybody downloaded the SDK for it yet?
It's going very slowly.
Are you kidding? No way.
Can we be careful of, not that there's, can we be careful when we say about the SDK? I'm technically under NDA. I think all of you are, who have downloaded it.
I tried to download it today. There was a link for it. It's 3.2, and every time I clicked on it, it tried to log me in somewhere else. So I was wondering if that was just me or if everybody's had the same
I installed that thing and it worked.
Yeah, go to that.
And then they had about 3.2, and I wondered if anybody had read that yet. And there were some new things in there like popovers, flyovers, gestures.
I'll this away from that because it's, not that I think we're going to get busted in Hacker Dojo, but this is a public venue and I've agreed to not, and we've agreed to not discuss that.
Yeah, I think that, going back to the question about the multitasking, and I think that there is a big trade-off in multitasking. I think that, for an iPhone, there was a big price to pay, and the big price to pay was that, the processor is very small. Many people probably here have seen what happened Windows Mobile when you have all these things in the background. You don't even know that were there chewing your battery, and the experience really changed a lot, right? So I think that in the iPhone, and they really were very careful about having that experience. For one thing, it's a phone, and your phone needs to be reliable. You don't want actually you have two applications running and you cannot talk on, have the experience, right? So, I can understand that, and they have to really go, bend backward with this push service in order to basically go around that. I don't think that's successful. I think that on Android, the kind of applications you can do with the services. It's a whole new set of applications that you cannot do in iPhone. Now for the iPad, I think that what I think that is going to happen is what happened with cut and paste. That at the beginning, when we got the iPhone, no cut and paste, and everybody what's going on here? How can no cut and paste? I think that it just took them time to figure out how to do that right. And for now, if you see the way that they came and are leveraging all the iPhone apps, just they come there in the middle with everything black, and then you just double. I think that's just the first generation. We're going to see this evolving so rapidly, and it's just going to, at the moment they're going to find how to do that well, I think that most likely going to see all the different iPhone apps running side to side, and who knows what else. But I think that it's inevitable that we'll see multitasking on the tablet.
I think
100% of the apps for the iPad currently don't know how to handle multitasking. So until we actually have a user base of iPod or a built-up thing, there's no need for Apple to. They got enough on their hands for launching it.